Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's now 6 o'clock. It's time for us to start our work session, May the 27th. I appreciate all of you coming out tonight, being here, and contributing to this work session. I'll start us off with an invitation and the pledge of allegiance. Please stand. Our kind Heavenly Father, we thank Thee for each breath that You give us and opportunity to be in here tonight. And we ask Thee for Thy guidance. Lead us and guide us in the direction You want us candid to go. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Amen. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First thing on item for discussion, we always open it up. Anybody got any comments? And then we got people on the agenda already. So, do you have any comments of anybody tonight?
Me.
Yes, ma'am. Come on.
Hi, I'm Rita Shoemaker, and I'm on the library board of trustees for Franklin County.
Thank you, Ms. Shoemaker. Come on up.
So, of course, you know what I'm here for, unfortunately. So, I'm here to ask for money. Oh, please.
Got the wrong place. Got the wrong place.
Now, listen, no, to be positive here. We are asking for an increase too. That's, we're talking about our operating expenses to keep the doors open, unfortunately, as far as the telephone bills and other insurance for the building, the contents of the building and stuff like that.
Would the two employees we missed Chipwood was their fault?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So those are our two employees. And one of them is opting out not to take the insurance this year, but that doesn't mean that she may not take it next year. Her husband's retiring.
Right.
So that's helped us a little bit because it's gone up, but it's still, that one employee is still more than we normally usually pay.
Because that's what I'm saying, if you opt out, then basically
They
you could
can
go.
opt out.
Yes,
That person
they
can, but,
Right.
every year they can opt back in.
Right,
But,
because basically the insurance now is going to be based on household income, and then we've had people who get subsidy where they actually don't even have to pay the premium because of the income amount that you're discussing.
Yes. But, but it's both total incomes. I don't know what their spouse
That's
is
right,
like too.
that's
So
true. That's what I'm saying, to
yeah.
look.
So, I don't know if that, but one of them is opting out because of her husband's income. She's taking his insurance. But he's going into retirement, so I wish she's going to opt back into his insurance.
Right.
So, but like I said, I can get you all the numbers if y'all got any questions. Once y'all do get the numbers, I'll be happy to get it to you. And I'm sorry we have to ask for an increase.
Well, that's why.
But I do think this is something very good for Franklin County. We are lucky that we have two libraries, and they're well-known libraries. So we have, like I said, we have Carnegie, and now we have a new one at Royston. It's state-of-the-art. I don't know if y'all been there, but we've doubled the computer size. We get grants for computers, so we doubled the computer size. And we did not double the employee size. We've not had any more employees, but we've doubled the building.
Right.
So, but the building is one long building, so you can see pretty much one into the other, with also in the security system. So we didn't have to get any more employees, but we've had double the people coming in because we do have double the computers. We have double use of the computers. We just have more people coming in just to sit down and read, which is really nice because we've got such a big reading area.
Did you notice that your heating and cooling bill increased as well?
It did, but part of that is taken up by the city of Royston, so
Oh, okay.
they're having to feel that part of it. See, that sounds awful, but we do have a better system as far as heating and air that we did under the old building, so it hasn't gone up quite as much as we thought because of that. So that's been kind of nice. But the city of Royston takes on that part of the bill as far as that goes. With the heating and air for the building. So,
I appreciate you covered it. Do we have any other questions you want to ask? Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, do you have any other comments from any citizens?
I think I may have gotten this, I must have missed this in the paper. I'm Pam Spivey, Franklin County. This is the work session of the Board of Commissioners of Roads and Revenue. I thought this was going to be a budget work session.
As you notice, we got the budget, later on our,
I missed, thank you,
Agenda.
Chair, I'm blind, I didn't bring my glasses.
okay.
And, my public comment, I've been sent in by a lot of people. When it hit the newspaper about when Clint Harper, and took over when he was a commissioner, and this had been, they thought it was a rumor, but apparently there was a $1 million deficit in this county. That is horrendous. I mean, what happened? $1 million just gone? And people are very upset with this. Seriously.
Basically, we're getting into the budget and so forth, but we didn't have a meeting just to fly away, disappear. We're talking about balancing the budget, making sure we stay within the budget, and looking at our revenue that's coming in from the taxpayers and so forth. So, we didn't have a meeting just to vanish, if that's the interpretation that you received.
Well, I'm not, I use the wrong dialogue. I mean, I'm having dialogue, but I use the wrong word. $1 million, that is a lot of money to this county. Somehow divvied out into some of these departments in this budget, and we're in the hole. We were in the hole for $1 million. Now that can hurt people come election time. I mean, you know, I'm a campaigner, and I have a horrendous manpower, and people call and talk to me because they say I have knowledge, experience, and they respect my views.
Okay.
But $1 million, and knowing well that we needed a jail expansion, I rest my case.
Appreciate you coming. Anybody else? Let's move on to our item B, and we have,
And, we live over in Sunriseville. It's along Gun Love Highway. We're in Davis District, just up the street from Gun Love Barbecue. And there's one street in our neighborhood, Sunrise Drive, and it services the neighborhood, and only the neighborhood, the houses that are in the neighborhood. There's no other property owner whose property adjoins the right-of-way or any of the property in Sunrise along the Sunrise Drive. It's exclusively there for the original development that was built, the 14 lots, 12 homes. So I'm here representing 4 of us. Another was, I thought they might have been here at a baseball game. And, there is only 12 houses in there, but with the 4 of us as homeowners here, and the one that's not here, we're talking about $3 million worth of property just in our lots alone. That doesn't include the other 7 properties are there. And all we're interested in is maintaining the integrity of our neighborhood the best that we can. And I really only have 2 things I want y'all to consider. And one is I want you to know that there is a 1-foot buffer that exists around that street. And so no other property adjoins the right-of-way or the right-of-way in that development. Just the homeowners within Sunrise Drive. That's the lot. And this 1-foot buffer that exists, and there's a plat in there for you, it exists on both ends of the street. And then it exists in the gap from the one lot, interior lot, right here, here, it extends from that point down to the end of the street. That street, right away, is bounded by a homeowner. Mr. Simonton, Butch, and myself own that 1 foot buffer. And the original developer of property, Mr. Gilbert, put that street in, and he put that buffer in order to maintain the integrity of that street. So there would be no access to that street because it's bounded by the buffer. And then there would be that privacy that would come from that. Along that right of way, there's a lot of streets, and I've included some pictures in there for you. There's a lot of landscaping or trees that grow up. So for 20 years, that street has had 20, 30, 40-foot trees that are 10, 12 foot deep on the right of way. The right of way is 15 feet on either side of the street. And it's 12 feet deep, 20, 40 feet high. And a couple months ago, trucks pulled up and somebody says, I can cut all these trees down because I want to have a view. And my property's on the other side of the buffer. His property does not join the right of way. It's not served by the right of way. But he wants a view. And we really don't care if he has a view or not. This isn't about whether he has a view. This is about our view as the homeowners, and what we want to have as a view, and maintain the integrity of the views that we've had, and maintain the consistencies of the property. And as you all well know, within this area, the property can be very inconsistent. On one end of that right-of-way, down at the bottom of your page, there's a boat barn down there. Been a long time commercial, there's an old marina and a boat barn, and it's still there. It's blocked by a lot of trees. You can't see it. That's, and it's not serviced right now, but it's there. On the other end of the property is, any number of different homes. And if you go outside of our property, on our street, there's all kinds of different properties and businesses all along Gunlock Highway. If you've driven up down Gunlock Highway, you all know what kind of conditions and zoning exists there. So we've been fortunate enough to have this 1 foot buffer that was placed in by Mr. Gilbert. When he decided to leave the area, he deeded it over to us. And because he knew that Butch and myself, felt the same way as he did about maintaining the integrity of that street. So all we are asking is that we get the right to put our street back the way it was, and confirm that there'll never be any more cutting. As the letters exist today, someone could get approval to make a cut. Whether you would grant that or not is, who knows. But I don't believe when the original cutting was occurring, or the approval was granted to that property owner, that there was an awareness that that buffer existed. And my suspicion is that for whatever reason that was not disclosed to whoever made the decision. Because I think if that had been known, the decision would not have been made. In fact, Mr. Phillips, is that correct? Yes. I know that Jim and Butch met with you, and as they've recounted to me, and please, I was not there, so please correct me if I'm wrong, but they said that when they explained that the buffer was there, you said, oh yes, we should not have done that. Now, again, I don't want to put words, I am putting words in your mouth, but I'm saying that I was not there. So they could stand up and put the words there. But in any event, you said, oh, and we'll take care of it. We will send you a letter, there will be no more cutting, and you will be able to put it back the way you had it. But then when we got the letter, there was stipulations. Well, you have to get approval to cut from us, but you have to get approval to cut from us. And, you don't put any landscaping up that might block this view. And so that's very different, as you can well imagine, from our perspective, as to how the conversation went. So that's all we want, is to have it back. And you've got pictures in there. You can see how that treescape looked. You can see where it was stripped, clear cut. And I mean, it would be fine if someone put a like-in-kind home there. That might not be the worst thing, wouldn't be the worst thing. But who's to say that is what will happen? And who's to say that on another property adjoining it, if those lots get cut out, there's a 3-acre tract, and if they put 2 more lots in there, who's to say that what will go in there alike in kind? And who's to say what will happen with that commercial property that's at the end? And if we made an exception now, why would we not potentially make an exception later? So we don't believe that any exception should be made, and we would like to see it, us at our expense. We're not asking the county to do anything. Y'all do own the right of way. If we understand if you need to come in there and drop cables or power or whatever the next fantastic invention of the world is that needs to get cut in there, and we're all going to get some and put it in, cut all this, we'd understand that. Or if it was a safety issue. But otherwise, we just want to, we've maintained it, we want it to continue, and, we're asking you to recognize that we are the property owners, we do own the 1 foot. And sans that, we'll go ahead and put a fence up, and we'll put in landscaping, and, we'll do what we need to do, but we'd love to have you all put out a, notice that, okay, no more cutting, and you can put whatever you want there, regardless, without any stipulation. It's that simple. You guys got any questions?
Any questions, Jim?
Or if I,
Can I, sure, Mr. Spencer? Because basically, if I'm not mistaken, up behind lot number 13, that lot actually does kind of border 328, if I'm not
Correct.
mistaken.
correct.
There is a privacy fence behind his house. I noticed when I was going up there and looked and all that, that is probably on that 1 foot as well.
Well, actually, no,
But there is a privacy fence right up there. which
he does
basically
have a
puts that
privacy
in.
fence on that first lot. And Mr. Butch owns that next lot to it. There is no privacy fence or anything right there. The buffer actually begins at the right of way and that point of lot 14.
Right there.
That's where that buffer,
But there is a fence down here on this one. I noticed a chain link
correct.
fence. with
But it is on the Boat Barnes property, and that commercial property, he's had it there forever. Correct, so at least, with all that we've ever known.
Where is this parcel in your photograph
It
as
is-
corresponding with the plat
It is right here.
on this side of the roadway?
Yes, sir. That would be a view from here, looking across the right of way.
Okay, thank you for clarification.
Yep. Is that fair assessment, or?
Just a couple of things that I will add, if it's okay with the chairman, is when I was first involved with the situation, I was asked to come to the site. When I got there, the other property owner was there, a crew to cut trees was there, Franklin County deputy was there, basically waiting to see if in fact trees could be removed from the county right of way or not. The decision I made was based really on 2 things. One was that our road superintendent had produced a letter that was sent to the property owner in 2007, basically saying that Franklin County has no problem with you removing trees from the right of way. The second being that really, and granted at the time, I don't know that we ever discussed the 1 foot buffer issue as far as property frontage. But basically, Franklin County's policy has been that if any citizen would like to remove trees, vegetation from the right-of-way, we have really looked at that as, hey, well, that prevents, during an ice storm or during a windstorm, a potential hazard. We've had no issue with them removing vegetation from the right-of-way. So that's how I came to the decision to say, and I thought really we had reached somewhat of a compromise in that we were going to limit the amount of trees removed, not go throughout the entire property frontage. That's how I came to the decision that I made. Now, and I guess I look at the 1 foot buffer as I've been involved with development for many, many years. I've seen those a lot of times, just as you say, that they prevent people from accessing the subdivision street. I've never seen a 1 foot wide area that could possibly be used as a vegetated buffer. And so I guess that's where, in my mind, I say, well, I understand, and I agree, should not be allowed to access the subdivision street when they have access to the state highway. I understand that perfectly. But that's where I came to my decision. Again, from my standpoint, the 1 foot buffer, obviously it's been quit claimed to you all. Don't say that we have anything to do with the 1 foot buffer as far as what you do there. But on the right of way, I guess it seems somewhat counteractive to issue one letter 7 years ago that says, yes, you can take it down, but then issue another letter that says either no, you can't take it down, or it can be reestablished exactly the way it was prior to us giving permission for you to take it down. But that's all I have to say.
Yeah, and our only, I guess, in rebuttal, and I know it is only 1 foot,
Right.
but it is a foot, and there is no adjoining, and I would not be able to hopscotch someone else's property and come to you and say, I want a clear cut along the roadway here, nor would you allow someone to hopscotch, if the 1 foot wasn't there, hopscotch over the roadway and cut property in what would be like my front yard, but own really the right of way, then you would never do that. And would never allow, otherwise I could go to the other end of Franklin County and say, I don't like sweet gum trees. I want them cut down, or whatever that might be. And I think the adjoining property is really the key, the crux. And I believe 100% that, from the county's perspective, was not aware that buffer existed. From the other property owner's perspective, there is no doubt that gentleman knew and has known all along. And if it was not shared, I would question why that would not be shared. But I don't think it was. I don't believe we'd be having this discussion today. And again, we have no interest in trying to be really ugly about it. We just want to put it back at our cost. We'll do it. We'll put a fence up, and then we'll hang a sign. And part of why we're here is we want to be sure the council knows, so that 15 years from now, 20 years from now, should this ever come up again, there would be some knowledge, it'd be in the record that there is the 1 foot, and we're going to have to hang a little sign and mark it for some private property, and just so that we just don't fall into this situation again, because it is. I know there's more pressing things that you all have on your minds today than our trees.
Just maybe one other data point for your consideration also is that subsequent to the events of the removing of the natural trees that were there, the barrier piece, we have been informed by the property owner that he's abandoned his plans to build his personal home there. So the issue of lake view, if you will, that's the reason it was given to us to take the trees down. It appears to me that it doesn't exist anymore if he's abandoned his plans. You'd have to check with him, and things do change. So I guess my point is that what was it? The initial reason for him to remove the trees now appears to be gone, and therefore I think that it reinforces the fact that we just want to return it to what the condition was before. Unfettered, unlimited by a restriction of height, let the trees grow as they will. I mean, we're certainly not going to probably go out and buy 60-foot trees to put in there, but nevertheless, just to kind of return it to its natural state from what it was originally. And then the second point, as Paul has indicated, is that our concerns to make sure that the governing bodies of the county are aware of the fact that this does exist, this buffer does exist, and that, at the very least, give considerations to us property owners. If somebody else wants to come in and clear cut, have a conversation with us too. Maybe you make your decisions with regard to your properties, but we were not given the opportunity to do that either.
We've made a pretty substantial investment in the county. We've paid pretty substantial taxes to the county. And, I mean, we feel like our voices should be heard.
You know, one other point I'd like for you to consider, this is the second attempt this gentleman's made to gain entry into the subdivision. He tried to cut the trees about 4 or 5 years ago, Butch, and Mr. Gilbert owned the buffer at that point in time, and he stopped him, and his intent was to cut a driveway into Sunrise Drive, and that was the reason the buffer was there to prevent that. And the homeowners along the street have maintained that right-of-way for the county. I've been there 10 years, and I think the county's been in there 3 times with a bush hog, but they just ride down the street because we maintain the shoulders and the ditches for the county. So I'd like for you to take that into consideration also.
So on that 1 foot buffer, y'all would like to do what you like.
We'd just like to plant the trees back
Plant the trees. on
without
that
any
1 foot buffer.
restrictions. And let them grow back.
And on the right of way.
We'd like for the trees to grow back on the right of way like they were.
If you look
Right
at
away
that,
to the road.
yeah, if you look
And
at
so
that
that
photo,
he doesn't have the right to just go in there and cut them again when they grow
Well,
up.
our property joins the right of way, why would he have the right to cut?
Following the natural vegetative
right,
line.
that's all
That's right.
correct. Yeah, I mean, you can
That's all
see,
correct.
it was, I mean, there was, 10 feet of trees that were cut out, and each of those trees were anywhere from 20 to 40 feet tall. I mean, one stump that's pictured in there
If I
was a
came
40
to
foot
your,
tree.
where you live,
And that
and
was on the
say,
1 foot buffer.
That was actually on the 1
permission to
foot
cut
buffer.
the trees on the
We're not
right
even
of way,
gonna,
you have to
try to take action
On the
against,
buffer.
Then you get it
for,
to-
the damage you've done on our 1 foot. We're just, we just want to be done.
It's only 1 foot, but he don't want that 1
30
foot.
feet from.
I would agree with that statement.
It's 31 feet from right there to there.
Mr. Gilbert put that 1 foot in to protect the subdivision. And,
And
It's
why-
like an invisible wall,
left
what
and
it
went
is.
to Texas. When he left and went to Texas, then he comes over there and tries to cut the trees. Because Mr. Gilbert, I was up there that day, Mr. Gilbert told him, he said, you cut 1 tree, you're gonna be in court.
He would do.
All
Oh, I'm sorry. I know you.
right. Any other questions?
Guys, I mean, we appreciate it. We appreciate you taking the time. And I mean it sincerely. I know this is somewhat, trivial in the big scheme of things, but I mean, it's important to us. It is for several of us, it's our home. For certainly all of us, it's a major investment. Now, I went on the county's website. It says Franklin County is a great place to invest. We've made a pretty significant investment. I appreciate it.
Will y'all contact Paul with a resolution at a point in time?
Say that one more time, sir.
Will you could contact Mr. Spencer with a resolution as to what?
Yes, we certainly will give some feedback to Mr. Spencer through our manager.
Okay, that's fine.
It's on the work session agenda tonight, potentially Monday night at our actual meeting, action or non-action, could or should be taken.
Who's coming Monday night?
I don't know that, I've certainly never been here, so I don't know what the procedure is.
Can't, you don't vote, man.
No, this is just a work
This
session here.
session.
Monday night is when we have,
This gives us opportunity to review and hear from the public, and then regular meetings take place on the first Monday night, which is next Monday.
So if you need a tiebreaker, call me.
All right, sir.
I mean,
I appreciate that.
I told that woman you were the muscle.
I almost thought him.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
And ma'am, we appreciate y'all coming out and being concerned, and I can certainly see your concern there, and appreciate you not bringing a big cost to us.
Greatly appreciate
Didn't
it.
ask for money.
Matter of fact, they're maintaining it.
Let's move on to our next item here. Our next item on the agenda is Mr. Chandler, present.
Ms. Chandler.
Mrs. Chandler.
Ms. Chandler, excuse me.
And I'm here to talk about Channel Road, which I've lived on it for many, many years, but I'm actually coming here tonight to ask you to consider taking this road over. Just to give you a little bit of history, Mr. Channel bought over 100 acres many years ago and cut this road in. It was named the Channel Road by everybody that drove on it unofficially. And in 81 and 82, built a home. And so for the past 40 years, he maintained the road prior to his death, and then I've tried to maintain it, but I can't really afford to. It was my understanding that I owned the road, that it came to me at his death, and then after trying to get the county to take it over to help with some maintenance, we ran into a whole history and all kinds of crazy stuff. One, I found out, I guess I don't own the road, that there's some case law that we didn't know about that says the people who live on the road own from the center of the road to their property line. I've got several people on that road who are holding deeds that counter to that. I guess the court has the authority to do what they want to, but I've got some folks on that road pretty mad about the fact that they may now have some accountability for maintaining that road when they never thought they did. My point is to just get some help with it. The bottom line really is the majority of the people who live on that road cannot afford it. They're barely eating. But there are two businesses on that road, and this is why I'm asking the county to consider taking it over. There are two businesses on this road that generate revenue for the county. And because the county benefits from this revenue, hopefully you'll see some need to maybe help out with maintaining the road. I've actually lost business. I own one of the businesses. It's the Runestone Bed and Breakfast on the lake. We don't bring in a lot of money, but we do bring in money. But I've lost business because of the condition of the road. David has driven down that road, and he can speak to its condition. It's 0.6 miles, 0.6 of a mile from Poplar Springs Road down to the end of the road at my property. And I learned something that kind of surprised me. I thought, because I thought I owned the road, I thought I could give it to you. Maybe I didn't do that. But I've tried repeatedly to get the county to help with this. So I've tried to give it to you. And at one time, we were going to try to work something out, and I was shocked to learn that the right-of-way had been changed by the county from 40 foot to 60 foot. And everybody on the road then had to give the county 10 extra feet if the county took over the road. And we had people on there that said no. One guy said it'll take my steps out. The other one said it puts the road too close to my well. And then after talking to David recently, I learned that it's ditch to ditch. It's pretty hard to keep up with what the county does. But as I understand it now, I do not own the road. I cannot give it to you. One other little caveat is we have a man that lives up on the front end of the road who is very difficult to deal with, and he's totally uncooperative just on principle. I called him a couple of weeks ago and trying to get him to help us figure out what to do, and he cussed me to Kingdom Come and had all kinds of nasty things to say about the people on that road. He wants nothing to do with us, and he isn't signing any blanket, anything for anybody, and he hung up on it. If signatures are required, I'll never get them. I'll never get them. And so hopefully you might consider taking it over under the eminent domain rule for the good of the county, because you do get revenue from a couple of businesses on the road.
Any questions, Jason? Was Phillips in the comments on this particular?
I don't know that I can really add anything further than what Ms. Chandler has discussed. We've talked about this a number of times, and as Ms. Chandler stated, based on our current policy, the board could decide to take over ownership and maintenance responsibilities for the roadway without really any property transfer, simply an easement from back of ditch to back of ditch. But I have not talked with any of the other property owners personally, but Ms. Chandler has indicated on a number of occasions that there would be at least one property owner that would not be willing to
And I
sign
believe
that.
he's the only one. I believe he's the only one. We've had issues with him over lots of things over the years. Dangerous things. I mean, he's put nails on the road to keep us from driving along the front of his property, thinking it was his property when in fact it was the right-of-way. Not too long ago, there were 3 cop cars out there, and they sat there for about 3 hours waiting for him to pick up every single one of those nails. You know, that's dangerous to children, critters, you know, people's dogs and animals could step on those nails, and he's just difficult. I don't know what he's thinking, but he's very ugly, and he's just plain mean and difficult. So anything you can think of, or any consideration you could give us. There was one time I made an appeal because the county school bus came down that road picking up children. Well, instead of helping us do something about the road, because the school bus did tear the road up a little bit, but instead of helping us with the road, they stopped the bus from coming down the road. And guess who the mean old woman was who kept their children from getting the school bus to come down the road and pick them up? Man, the parents had to take the kids up to the highway to get on the school bus. But it's just been one thing after another, and this has been, you know, we've been on that road. Our house has been on that road since the early 80s, over 40 years, close to 40 years now.
Other than this one man, do you think you could get all the signatures just from a
I
permanent
could if I know
easement?
who they are. I spent 4, 5, 6 hours in the courthouse. Spent $40, $50, another $20 or $30 other times copying deeds. One of the things that's happened, after my husband died, I sold 53 acres because I needed some income. A lot of this property has gone in, some of it has gone into foreclosure. A lot of it has been sold and resold. Realtors have taken over some of it. Banks have taken over some of it. And I just, even with the help of the clerks in the courthouse over there, I just I couldn't find everything. Maybe it's because I don't know what I'm looking for, but.
Does this guy at the beginning of the road, is he on both sides of the road?
No, going in,
Or
he
he just
owns
owns-
on the right.
Okay. Could there be any possibility of getting an easement moved over on that part, or?
I would think that would definitely be a possibility. I'm afraid I don't know exactly where this particular property is.
I'm not familiar
But
with it.
we could certainly entertain that.
The man who bought the 53 acres was Warren Moore, and he was in the process of helping me formulate a proposal for the county to take over the road at that time, and he died the year after he bought the property. But this is off of Poplar Springs Road.
Right, I'm very familiar with the roadway, yes, ma'am.
Yeah, and
But sometimes moving the road over a bit is not a huge issue. Sometimes it is. And, you know, if it's not a huge issue of moving the road over, the possibility of whoever owns on the other side gives the full easement right of way and just get it totally off of that other guy's property. And then
You know,
if you
when
got
they-
the rest of the signatures, then there would be something that could be done.
When I discovered the right-of-way had changed from 40 to 60, I was in a position at that time to give these property owners another 10 feet. Granted, it would have had to been behind their homes. But some of them were agreeable to give the 10, most of them didn't mind giving the 10 feet because the point we made is it would improve their property value. And it would, we weren't talking about you coming in there and putting a 2-lane road. I mean, we're
Well,
still
if
talking
you-
about maintaining probably the same amount of roadway.
If you sign just a permanent easement, it wouldn't anything change it would be from ditch to
Ditch
ditch.
to ditch.
Now, if you want to turn the road over to the county, that would be a 60-foot right-of-way, in which, you could get water and whatnot down through there. But I'm sure your best option would be just a temporary easement. And
I'm open to what anyone says is my best option, because at this point, I'm just frustrated with it. I don't know what to do with
Is there a
it.
cul-de-sac at the end?
It goes right into her
It drives
property.
right in front of my house.
There's probably where that cul-de-sac could be put right in front of your property. I'm sure, isn't there anything, Chandler?
Well, I have a circular turnaround now.
No, well, you have that. I'm talking about like coming up to your property
To the
right there.
property.
There's
You're
a,
not getting someone's property.
Part of that, probably we could. I've already deeded some of that property to my daughter, but I think I could twist her arm to work with me.
Do you know what the dedicated right-of-way is on the property? All from beginning of the roadway to the end right there where her property starts?
I'm afraid I do not, and I've talked with one of the local attorneys that I think has been helping you somewhat with this issue.
Yeah, he's enlightened me quite
And,
a bit.
and it appears from, and correct me if I'm wrong, Ms. Chandler, but from what I understand from him, there really is no right-of-way. Is that your understanding from him as well? In other words, pretty much currently, the properties go to the center line of the
That's why I'm
roadway.
asking, because I wanted to know if there's a dedicated right-of-way of 40 feet or 20 feet, or if it's ditch to ditch. That limits our options, because if it goes right away to the center line of the roadway, then there's really, unless you do a realignment on that section of road, and that would depend on the amount of frontage this property owner. But the best scenario here, if you're looking for just maintenance, which I think we could potentially provide, we would have to have an easement signed from every property owner on the roadway. And, you know,
I don't think we'll get it.
we would be glad to meet with this additional property owner, because it will do nothing but enhance his property, decrease his cost.
Okay.
and maybe help his business.
But if you deal with him, he probably would cooperate. If any of us on the road try to deal with him, we've all had issues with him. And there's probably a little blame on more than one side on some of these issues, but he's just totally closed-minded. Now, would you figure out who all you need signatures from?
But we have not done that in the past. We have left that up to the
Because I don't
property
know how to
owners.
find them.
Should be on the tax map.
Right, what we typically do, Ms. Chandler, what we use is we go to, there's a website called QPublic that allows you to access the tax assessor's information. And it will have who the county has as far as owner of record for those properties. And also, it will identify all the properties that adjoin the roadway.
Well, I've spent untold hours over there in Missy's office, and some of those girls have tried to help me, but we've basically been looking through office books.
The website, you can just navigate so
But they
much
never
more
told me about the
effectively.
website.
Going from parcel to parcel, it'll give you the owner's name, the current address of the property, and much more easier to navigate through.
And I should be able to match a name with a piece of property without a plan.
It also gives the mailing address of the owner.
Okay.
But you could pull this roadway up, and it would show each parcel. It will give the tax ID number, give the name of the property owner, valuation, etc.
Well, I don't mind doing the legwork.
You call me and I'll be glad to help you, okay?
Okay. What was the website?
The best way to get there is actually to Google Franklin County, Georgia tax assessors. And if you do that, it will pull them up, and you can go directly to that website.
Okay.
Do you have an email? We can send you a live link to that.
Yes, it's Rennie, R-E-N-I-E,
Or you can get on the county's website and
at
you go to-
Renstone.
Right.
RENSTONE.com.
Okay, we'll send you an active link this evening.
Oh, great, thank you so much.
Because we could actually do this, I could say one thing, because what I would like to start coming up in July, it's had a beautification project for Franklin County. And in doing so, we could iterate that making roads and doing this, it's just like we're looking at trying to get the rest area on I-85 because it looks very bad. And it has just, when you have things that look that way, it represents the county. And we'd rather not have black eyes and all, because we do want things and we do want people to and invest in things.
And unfortunately, when new people come in and they start down that road, they finally find me, but they said, oh my God, we almost didn't come. Where in the devil are we going? You know.
Yeah.
And I put a sign halfway down just to let people know, just keep coming, you get it.
And you wouldn't know how nice it is until you get down into your place. Yes, ma'am.
Once they get there, then it's nice. I think it's nice. But I've had other people, local people there, because we have a day spa there too. We have a bed and breakfast and a day spa. And local people say, Rena, I'm sorry, I just can't drive down that road. I've had a couple of people say, my car is too low. I just ruined my car. I can't come down. I can't come down that road. And that takes money out of your pocket too.
Sure. We appreciate you bringing this to our attention and see if we can get something right.
Right. The last time I came, I had a couple of people come and argue against it, and one said it would take his steps, and the other one said it would increase traffic, and I said, well, how it's going to increase traffic? It's a dead end, you know. It might increase it a little bit, but anyway, I do appreciate it. Any help you can give me, and thank you for listening.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's move to the next one, Gary Hall Road right away. And Mr. Phillips has some information about that he will share with us.
Yes, sir. Mr. Chairman, back in 1997, Franklin County actually obtained a contract from DOT for the base and paving for 3 county dirt roads. One road was paved under that contract. One road, some of the property owners requested that the road not be paved, and then that left Gary Hall Road. 10 years later, 2007, no work had been done on Gary Hall Road as a part of that contract, and DOT basically suggested to Franklin County that we cancel the contract due to inactivity. The plan was that Franklin County could then subsequently go back to DOT, obtain a contract just for the base and paving of Gary Hall Road. Well, as you all know, from 1997 until today, it's a different world as far as obtaining financing through DOT. Franklin County, in the meantime, proceeded to obtain right-of-way and actually acquired an 80-foot right-of-way for the entirety of Gary Hall Road. Franklin County also did some work as far as drainage improvements with culvert pipes, realigning some portions of the roadway, doing some different work. But as you know, we've done nothing to date as far as paving the roadway. One of the property owners that dedicated right-of-way to the county actually dedicated 1.83 acres of property as far as right-of-way. He has made a request to the county. He would like, if the county does not plan to pave Gary Hall Road in the near future, he would like for the county to quit claim that right-of-way back to him. And I'll be glad to try to answer any questions that you may have regarding that matter.
So the action that we would take is actually give him a quick claim deed to put the property back in his name that he originally donated to the county.
That is correct, yes.
And he did donate it based on the fact that there was potentially a road improvement project that was going to be left, that was going to upgrade the road to paved standards.
That is correct.
So, gentlemen, please prepare to go ahead and take some action on this tonight. So
Can we have some discussion on this first?
Sure we can.
If we don't mind, go ahead. Is there, I know we have the roads on our list of, but with that Gary Hall Road, is there, I don't remember seeing it anywhere on the pre-existing list that I've seen since I've been a commissioner.
to my knowledge, I'm like you, right? It's never been very high priority on any list that I've seen as far as basin paving. Again, the intent was Franklin County would do some improvements to the drainage system on the roadway, do some safety improvements as far as alignment, and the majority of that work has been done.
So
But
all we really need is just for funds in the future
Right.
to get them to do.
The
because
intent
that-
was, once that was complete, Franklin County would go back to DOT, they would be able to get a basin paving project for that particular roadway. But as you know,
How long is that road? Do you have?
Here it is.
All the way over
It's
to-
fairly long, it goes from Bowles Springs to 326.
Yeah, both Springs all around.
yeah, and I don't have a total length on the roadway.
I see where.
And I guess, John, one thing also, and I know GDOT's criteria changes, this was an 80-foot right-of-way,
Right.
and based on the current standards, well, that goes beyond the 60-foot, so that wouldn't be an issue.
Right.
So basically, it seems to me
I think it
that
needs for
we,
realignment purposes.
They, I think because it was such an older project, that basically the 80 feet was the requirement at the time.
so I would say that since we do not have the funds, and he's saying if we don't initially do it in the near future, he'd like to have it 1.8 tenths of an acre back. So I'm sure he's probably already got that in Paris, but he just wants that back under his umbrella.
Well, and I explained to him that, you know, really from my perspective, as far as utilizing the property, because that is really undeveloped property right now. And like you say, it's just a grassed area, and the plan was to do some relocation work. As far as our position now, we didn't mind him going ahead actually continuing to utilize the property just as though it was his. But, and that's what I would really hope that he would be agreeable to, but the property owner wants the property back, is the bottom line.
Any other questions, man? Let's move on to E here, talk a little about Stone Road, CR 152. Mr. Bowman?
Yes, sir. A lot of road issues tonight. This one is a request from George Boney, who's a property owner on Stone Road, which is County Road 152 off of Highway 145. Currently, Franklin County maintains 0.35 miles of this roadway. So if you start at Highway 145 and go to 0.35 miles, that's what the DOT inventory shows as our responsibility for maintenance. That's the limits that we have always maintained. Mr. Boney has actually submitted the easement from ditch to ditch and has requested that we actually work the remainder of the roadway. Now, if you look at the sketch that we provided, hopefully you're able to identify that from the end of our current maintenance responsibility, the remaining approximately 1,050 feet that Mr. Boney is asking that we maintain really is all within the confines of his property, both sides, and really goes to, provides access to one structure on that property. But he is requesting that we accept maintenance responsibility all the way to the end of the existing roadway.
So it's basically just his long driveway?
That's the way I view it, yes.
Okay. Because he owns both sides of the road, I guess?
That is correct.
Does he have any intention, do you know of, or whatever, to maybe do a subdivision, to do anything of that nature?
Not that I'm aware of, no.
I saw no signs of development. I was down there probably a couple of months ago looking at a maintenance request we had, and I would concur with your assessment, excuse me.
Any other questions, Jim? Okay. move on to the Bear Creek Road realignment. I understand we had a curve or something other of that nature. Ms. Phillips, tell us about that.
Yes, sir. We've had another request from a property owner on the section of Bear Creek Road that is actually between Grady School Road and McGee Road. And this is a dirt portion of Bear Creek Road. Again, this is a county road that we currently maintain. The property owner is asking that we shift the roadway to eliminate a sharp curve and also to increase the distance of the roadway from their existing residence. It would definitely be a safety improvement, in my opinion, as far as the relocation of the roadway. The property owner has also advised that they would be willing to dedicate the right-of-way within their property necessary for us to complete the realignment.
Do we know what the cost of the realignment would be?
We would look to do it with our in-house staff, with our road department. So we'd be pretty limited as far as cost. There is a drainage way that runs through here, so we'd be talking about the cost of the drainage pipe and then, of course, the rock to go on the roadway and the grassing that would be involved with the construction.
I'm just trying to figure, because there's,
Long term, you're actually reducing the linear footage of the road probably about half.
That is true.
So one of the objectives we've had now is to eliminate dangerous situations, and this would certainly reduce the hazardous situation if we straighten it out.
Right. It would definitely bring the road more in conformance with a safety standard as far as the curb alignment.
is this the one where that house sits over there and they got a barn and? Because I go home, I mean, it's a dirt road and you don't drive that fast on the dirt roads anyway, because miles an hour is too fast.
It is, and I wish everyone abided by that, but unfortunately, not everyone does.
Because I think I know exactly where you're talking about.
I think that's the road that's paved on each end of it, and then it's got that dirt and something.
Yeah, Bear Creek actually has some paved sections to it, but this is
on
all within
past-
the
This is just
dirt
where it's
section.
dirt.
It's on the dirt paved.
Yeah,
It's not that often we have an opportunity to address this type of a safety issue, in particular where the property owner owns both sides of the roadway.
Right.
It's a dirt road, they're willing to deed the right of way, and based on what I've seen, I will say it has been a while, I will be out there before Monday, but our county forces could accomplish all of the work.
Right.
Without a shadow of a doubt.
Right. It's basically through a pasture area.
I was gonna say, because it's just pasture.
That's
It's
right.
not
So
having-
there's not
it's not having to
a
clear
lot of
pasture
clearing or
either.
anything like that would be involved with the project.
And basically what it's doing is taking where instead it comes real close to his house, it's just
Right.
moving on that.
Right, so there is, a side benefit to the property owner as well.
There's more
But again,
traffic on this road than you would
right,
think.
but again, they have indicated they're willing to dedicate right of way, and it is a safety issue that we could address fairly easily.
Certainly sounds like an issue we could take care of and make a safe situation at that particular location.
Yeah, I know that.
Next item on our agenda is the water line installation. Mr. Phillips, tell us where we at on the water line.
Yes, sir. As you recall, the last time we talked about water, we identified two roadways to complete, and that is South Fairview Road from Stonebridge Road to Grady School, and then also Stonebridge Terrace, which is off of the new line that we've been installed on Stonebridge Road. Our crews have been busy, and they have actually completed both of those projects. So at this time, I'd like for us to identify at least the next road on our priority list so that we could begin plan preparation, get EPD approval, and identify the next project for our crews to install. If you look at sort of what we had on our priority list, the next one that our water superintendent and I had identified that we would like to address would be Hill Crossing Road from Sandy Cross Road over to Salem Road, State Route 174. And the reason we'd like to do that is that would allow us to actually do a couple of other roads that are identified there, essentially Diamond Lane and Bond Bridge extension projects. We could do those then without having a dead-end line during any point. We could go ahead and make that connection point to the E road on Hill Crossing Road.
Makes good sense.
That's a good point. Any questions?
I think that's excellent. I mean, you've got the number of residences and potential customers is still significant.
Right.
I know we have right-of-way on the road.
Right.
Not aware of any major stream crossings. You know, from an environmental standpoint, I'm not aware of any ESAs or anything else. You know, very good selection.
Right. Gentlemen, you ready to act on the next water line installation recommendation from Mr. Phillips, Monday night? Now let's look at the House Bill 685, the Responsible Dog Ownership Law. And you know we had recently a citizen that was bitten by a dog, and we been looking at particular laws, responsible dog ownership laws. Ms. Phillips, you want to explain that?
I will, and Mr. Chairman, you've actually done a good job of summarizing. Basically, staff began to do some research based on some comments that we'd received from some of our citizens recently. And it does appear that based on what most people refer to as the Georgia Responsible Dog Ownership Law back in 2012, that we are required to designate someone to serve as our dog control officer. So I'd like for the board to consider who may be that best person as far as serving in that position. I've talked with our sheriff a little bit, and also have talked with some of our cities inside the county. I think we could look at a possible partnership somehow with some of them, or I think that we have some staff in-house that we could probably assign those duties to.
So we could basically have someone assigned to that to take care of that particular law.
That is correct.
And that wouldn't be their sole duties and responsibilities,
that
as
is
long as
correct.
it was part and parcel of their
That is
duties.
Yes.
And it's noteworthy to mention there are some that do already have experience
Right.
with certain aspects of animal control.
Yes.
Sounds good. Comment?
Yes, thank you. House Bill 685. Why are you gonna go and get a dog control officer when we already have animal control? Why are you coming at the animals? Why don't you go at the pet parent, go at them, call the ASPCA, get involved with them? We have leash laws in the city. Guess what? They won't abide by them.
Well, what we're talking about here is...
Yeah, tell us.
Yeah, what we're talking about here, we just don't have a designated person on the county level to be accountable to this law. And what we're talking about is making sure that we clarify who is responsible from the county level, that we put the finger on, that fulfills this law that the state has put on the ship. So that's all we're talking about, this particular situation.
So what are you gonna do? Go pick up the animal, throw it in the shelter, and have it euthanized every Tuesday from...
No,
They haven't come to the conclusion.
And really, this law deals with what the law classifies as dangerous and vicious dogs. So this is not a leash law.
Right.
These are animals that actually
Run wild.
have bitten someone or another animal, and the law is very specific as to which animals this pertains to, and is also very specific as to how those animals are handled and dealt with.
I think this is something that really is serious. Where I live, you'll see 4 or 5 dogs running in a pack. And they come up on a deer and they all together attack a deer. It happens there. Now, if they came upon a child, they'd be just as apt to pounce upon that child. And these dogs, as far as I know, they have owners somewhere, but nobody pays. They don't have them on a leash. They run all over my
How
decks.
can you go to the
I
park?
was out the other day and there's one just running right around my decks. I don't know who he belongs to.
No collar.
No
Yeah.
collar, no
So
nothing.
how are they supposed to find the owner if there's no collar? I'm just picking up.
Well, we do.
I think we need to have, every animal have a microchip.
Yeah, well.
Well, they need something.
And who's gonna put them in it? And who's gonna cover the cost of it?
Yeah,
Steve,
just pick the dog up.
Yeah,
hey,
But,
we got one coming our way.
okay.
so we got,
And
we got,
Stevens, Toccoa will do a microchip for probably $10.
okay. So we're going to take care of this responsibility of the county, making sure that we fulfill the mandate that we're getting in this House bill, and that we have, we can put it under a category of in-house person that we already have that will be responsible for that. That's what we plan on doing. Yes, ma'am.
I would hope that you wouldn't select the county offices such as the sheriff. I think he's spread out enough, and I don't want to see his responsibility or power go any further.
I understand. I understand.
That's my opinion and my hope, that it would be someone that does, like he said, Mr. Phillips, that it would be someone that knows what they're doing with dogs, someone with some experience. I think that would be
Absolutely.
very,
Absolutely.
very
Yes, ma'am.
wise.
Why don't you contact Jeff at the Toccoa Stevens County Humane Shelter? Talk with Jeff, he's the director, and talk with Angie Garland. And I would highly recommend you do that, because Hart County is going to try to build the same one they have.
I appreciate that.
And they are wonderful people.
Wouldn't they turn around and charge the county bill?
No, get with me. I'll talk to Jeff and Angie, they're my best friends.
Okay, thank you.
My question on this is,
Yes, ma'am.
we used to have one of those guys years ago, and he never really did much, but the county let him go because we couldn't afford it. I guess it's because he didn't do anything. So if you're going to find out who you're going to assign, make sure that you give him a written statement of what his responsibilities are.
Did job description.
Job
Yeah,
description.
Yes, ma'am.
And we're working on that for all.
All of them.
Good.
Have job description.
It's so necessary. It hasn't been done in all positions.
No, it isn't.
We plan on doing that. Let's move into our budget, FY 2015 budget. And imagine basically what we want to do with our budget situation is set up some times that we wish to meet with different departments. Is that correct, Mr. Pope?
Well, yes, sir, that's what I'd like to do is set up a tentative schedule as far as review, and I would also like to commend Elaine, our county clerk. She has been working extremely hard to put together the numbers and everything that you have there before you. Let me say that what you have is a very preliminary budget. We're meeting even tomorrow with our insurance representatives to try to pinpoint exactly what our costs for health insurance and everything there will be. So these numbers are subject to change, but again, Elaine has worked very hard with our software changeover and everything else that's taken place. She's worked very hard to put that together. But yes, and in answer to your question, what I'd really like to do is at least identify the first time that we would like to get together and sort of the process we'd like to utilize as far as approval of the budget.
So
Review and
this is a
approval.
work session primarily to deal with
Right.
the budget situation.
Have you had preliminary discussions with constitutional officers and department heads about budget needs?
We've talked with all the departments, all the constitutional officers, at least to some level, yes, as far as budget needs, and they have also been a big help, and they have contributed to the information that you have there.
I'd definitely like to have that information on the date or prior to our meeting that we established.
Right.
Do I hear a date, someone have a date in mind that you would like to do this?
Just a suggestion, since we'll all be here next Monday night, what if we meet Paul and, okay, I'm sorry, well, we can look at alternative dates then.
I have a question. How do you get access to every department in this county? Whether it's the sheriff's budget, the tax commissioner's budget, all the different departments. How do you get, how much department in this county is receiving how much dollars? Are they within their budget, or have they busted their budget? Have they gone over budget, or are they staying within their budget?
That's the process we're going through now, because we set the budget for each department, and we analyze it and what their needs are in relationship to what the revenue coming in is, and therefore we set the budget for each department, and if it works like it should, all departments stay within the budget. The revenue comes in that's projected, therefore we're in good standing. So that's exactly what we're doing now.
I think what the question is asking, I think, and what we're trying to do once we get everything with our software and all that, that Elaine, that we'll basically be able to have it on our website.
Absolutely.
Is what our goal is to get to.
I would like to put something in the paper. Or the website is not up and running. I don't know why. It never has been. And this YouTube, it's not going to go. And I left my, no, I've got it right here. I'm trying to get True Vista to open up a channel on cable news so the Board of Commissioners can be back on cable news.
Right.
Now, I'm having very difficulty, and because of that, and because other people have come to me and they said, what are you going to do? And I said, well, I just basically busted True Vista. I canceled. And I've come up with a better deal because I've got DirecTV, I've got a massive major internet thing. They're coming tomorrow and with a landline, unlimited. And this True Vista owner is Brian Singleton. I didn't want to go to the head honcho because I like to take the proper steps.
Sure. That's good.
And Clay Fisher was the man that was supposed to have called me back. He never returned my phone call. I said, if you don't, I will hit you with Brian. I will go all the way to Brian Singleton. Even South Carolina, who transferred me to Clay's little direct line after 8 a.m., she said, honey, call me.
All right, follow me now.
Okay. And wait a minute, John Williams at 706-356-1714 was supposed to call me back 2 weeks ago. He has not called me back, and he was trying to get 95,
Sure.
or the advertising channel. This needs to go back on cable.
Okay.
Even I'm not going to have cable. I'll be here. But there are other people that want this back. They're very disgruntled, and I'm dropping them.
Right.
They're coming over tomorrow, Windstream, DirecTV, and I'm going to drop them. Mama's going to drop them.
Okay. Well, let's get back to it.
But I mean, this needs to be dealt with.
Right.
And is somebody calling and saying, "Don't call this woman back"?
I have a question. When you get this information that you're working on, will it be in the newspaper so that because not everyone has internet. I don't have
It
internet.
won't be a secret. That's
It's
correct.
So we
required
can all
to be
view
Provided
it
it's public.
before there's a vote,
Our
will we
budget,
have it?
There has to be a 5-year history that is published,
Okay.
including
Great,
budget amounts and the corresponding millage rate.
up to date,
It-
okay.
That's correct.
It
Is
will
that correct?
actually be published, and also we'll have to have a public hearing. So
Okay, that's my
You'll take
other
that.
question.
But the
Okay.
details aren't there, it's just the You're not publishing what she was talking about.
What's published is each department head with line items and the expenditures. That is correct.
It will be by department.
By department.
That would be great.
That's the way that it's been
That's
in the
what-
past.
Right, and that's,
Let's
see,
get
no
back to
reason
the,
that we would
let's
change
get
that.
back to the date we're going to meet on this, Jim.
right.
Any suggestions?
What about the 9th of June, that Monday?
Can't do it.
16th.
16th, what about the 16th?
16th of June. You good?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Harper, how are you on the 16th?
That's a Monday.
Now,
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm in May, wait a minute. Yeah, the 16th.
Be the
I
third.
guess the question I have, John, I don't know if that gives us enough time, because what we have to do,
Right.
we have to advertise, we have to have the public hearing,
Right.
and then you have to meet and adopt the budget.
That's correct.
So I don't know if,
Ideally, if we could meet at the latest sometime during that week of the 9th, would certainly help us from a timetable standpoint. But
that whole week, vacation.
How about
5th and 6th.
Thursday the 12th?
I can't.
Would that be
How
something?
about Thursday the 5th?
I'm good on that date. Just to be honest, the sooner the better.
exactly, definitely.
June the 5th.
Well, what if we do it the 3rd then, because we've already got our education classes for the ACCGs on the 5th and the 6th. What if we do the 3rd?
I'll just be back in.
Oh, 3rd, or the 10th?
Could we go ahead and have a preliminary meeting on the 2nd?
I let me check if y'all, I'll be with my son that coming in from Afghanistan. Monday, but,
Third would be good.
I'm good on the
but if
3rd.
y'all good on the second.
Well, see, he's on the 3rd also, he's tied up. Or are you tied up on the 3rd also? Which would be Tuesday.
Sure. I'll still be tired
Right.
that day. Wednesday,
Like I said,
how about Wednesday?
I'd rather
Well,
a
that's
church
Wednesday
night.
night.
That's a Wednesday church night.
That's what I
Wednesday
said,
church
we will
night.
be here together on Monday.
That's right.
And like I said, what we would do is just have a preliminary cursory review.
Let's do
Yeah.
that. Let's do that. If it's all right.
Yeah, and maybe even, possibly even at that meeting, you may be able to identify some departments that maybe we don't need to necessarily meet by department, but some that we definitely do need to meet, or,
I think this meeting would be more of a general discussion. I
Correct.
don't anticipate having constitutional officers or department heads, but we will make a determination on this date of which budgets we need to have further discussion with based on elected officials, department heads, et cetera. That's what I envision.
so do I. That's exactly what I had in mind.
Right, entertain the request for additional funding
Right.
for the library.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's why they want to try to have it in, because we'll be.
So-
And then we can establish a meeting date
Okay,
from.
when is this
Correct.
meeting gonna take place?
Monday the 2nd.
No, that's the Board of Commissioners meeting.
Let-
Well, it's
Right after.
following,
Right
since
after,
we'll be
right
here.
after the board
Because they're
commission
gonna be
meeting
here.
Monday.
Right after.
We'll
That's
move
why
from
they're
down
trying to
there
have it
and
on the
come
2nd,
down
on
here
the
and
2nd.
lay our budget documents
Okay, so
out.
after the Board of Commissioners meeting Monday,
If everybody's in concurrence with that.
That's fine.
then you're gonna talk the
Everybody's
budget.
in concurrence.
That's gonna be a long meeting.
Well, so be it. They have to stay up late.
I'll bring sleeping
We're all,
bags.
we
Just
all
bring
have to stay
sandwiches.
up late. That's right, bring
Bring it.
I'll bring brownies.
sweet tea.
But, would, someone like to take on this project with me? And call True Vista? And get us back on cable? Cause I'm gonna have to go turn this equipment into this man, not tomorrow, but he's in Gunlog, and he's a very nice man, and he also agreed with me, John Williams. He said he had the Gunlog cable. And when True Vista took over Gunlog, there went the Board of Commissioners, and a lot of people, believe it or not, watched the Board of Commissioners meeting on that cable channel. Would someone like to take on this project and be a godly man and help these voters in this county?
I think the best thing you could do maybe, Pam, is pass a petition around, because I think that
I don't want to pass it. Jeff, I don't have time. I've got a campaign to run. And I don't have time to go get petitions.
And I'm not saying that, I'm just saying that, I think that would speak volumes to any type of a service provider such as True Vista, if they get a listing of a certain number of people showing that they want a certain program, it tends to get a response.
The people,
So it wakes them up.
from the people.
Well,
Absolutely.
That's money in
you
their
mean
pocket.
nobody on the Board of Commissioners is going to even offer to help me make a phone call and say,
I'll make a phone call with you.
thank you, I knew I could count on you, Strick.
Good, thank you.
Are you my commissioner? Because since I'm in
Where do you live on that road?
15, right
Left
across
or
the
right?
My commission.
Left or right? Left side or right side?
Depends on where you're coming from.
Well, you come from Bowman. Coming from Bowman. I don't know how to get there any other way.
Well, honey, you go down Gumbo Road at Newtown, and then
Yeah.
I'm on the right, across from Diamond Janie Handy.
Okay, well then, I'll be your commissioner then.
Well, I'm glad you're my commissioner.
Well,
Otherwise, I was gonna pass you off over here. Because he's on the left side of the road, and you're District
You
1.
got a job with Dave, Jane. Is that it? All right.
all right,
Let's close.
Before you do that gavel,
we're ready to go.
No, not yet.
Yes, we're ready.
That's a question.
You and I talk.
I asked you before you hit that gavel, if you were paying any attention.
Well, he was just getting everybody's attention for you to talk.
What
Oh,
you
is
need
that
to
okay
say?
if I just wanted to compliment you guys on your interest in the roads. You're the first bunch of commissioners I've ever seen
Yeah.
that was interested in the roads.
As a whole and to the public,
Make
there's
it
what's
public
being
service.
done to the roads privately behind the closed doors, but not openly discussing what you would like to do and what you're gonna work on trying to do